All right, so here we are taking a -2 minus a -16 over 4. Well, minus the minus, so we can already take care of that, and that becomes plus. And so now we have a -2 plus, well, what's 16 divided by 4? Well, 4 times 4 is 16. We subtract that, we get 0, so that's -2 plus 4. Now what's 4 minus 2? Well, that's just 2. Okay. And again, first we got rid of the negative times the negative, then we took 16 divided by 4, and then we took and added those two numbers together. All right, so here we have a product, so we have to take 6 plus 7 times a -1, well, that's a -7. Well, here we have the larger is negative, smaller is positive, so 7 minus 6 is 1, the sign of the larger is negative, and so we get a -1. Now here we've got mixed signs. We have subtraction, we've got a division, we've got a multiplication, and we've got another addition. So remember, we're doing multiplication and division first from left to right. So that means we will do this first. We'll take 120 divided by 5. Well, 5 will go into 12 twice. That gives us 10. 2 minus that's 2. That's 0. I'll bring down our 0. 5 times 4 is 20. Subtract that, we get 0. So now we have 8 minus 24. And then we still have times 6 plus 7. Well, now that means we have to take 24 times 6. Well, 6 times 4 is 24. Carry our 2. 6 times 2 is 12. Plus 2, that's 14. So now we have 8 minus 144 plus 7. All right, so now we're going to work from left to right. So now we'll take this, and if we think about that, that's really just 8 plus a -144. And then again, we have our plus our 7, okay? Well, now if we remember, if we had all the same signs, two positives, we could add those together first if we wanted to. We could take 8 plus 7, and that would give us 15, and then plus a -144. And so we could simplify and do those first if we wanted, or we could just go, left to right, and that would be fine as well. But here we're going to try it this way. We're going to do something a little different. We're just taking those two, since they're both positive, adding them together first, again that. And now the larger is 144. We'll subtract the smaller, which is 15. Well, now we have to borrow. That's going to be a 3. Carry that. That's 1. So now we have a 9 when we subtract there. 3 minus 1 is 2. 1 minus that's 1. And so our final value is going to be a -129. Okay. All right. So that's how we get that one. How about the next one? Very similar. Again, working from left to right, we have negative, divide, times, negative. So we have to do that first. Well, 40 divided by 5. Well, 5 times 8 is 40. When we subtract that, that's 0. So then we have 4 minus 8 times 4 minus 9. So now we have to take 8 times 4. Well, 8 times 4 is 32. So we have 4 minus 32 minus 9. Now we could again rewrite this 4 plus a -32 plus a -9. And then if we notice here, both of these are negative. So we could add those together first, and then we could take and add, or if we want to look at it as subtracting off the 4, we could. And so 32 plus 9, 9, 10, 11, carry 1, 3 and 1, 4. And so this gives us 4 plus a -41. Now these are opposite signs, so we're going to really take 41 minus 4. Well, so guess what? We get borrow again. And so 7, and then that's a 3. And so our value is going to be negative because the larger is negative. And so it's going to be a -37. Okay. And again, we could have gone just take and done this 4 minus 32, and then after that minus 9 more, or again adding the like signs first and then adding the opposite sign here, kind of like we did here. We added like signs first. This time they were positive, and then we added the negative after that. All right, well, this one kind of brings into memory that middle part here when we had just those three pieces. Well, again, we have to do from left to right. So we're going to take 4 into 72. Well, 4 goes in here once, that's 4. Subtract 7 minus 4 is 3. Bring down to 2. 4 times 8 is 32. Subtract, that's 0. So we have 18 then times 6. Okay, well, it was 18 times 6. Well, 6 times 8 is 48. Carry the 4. 6 plus 4 is 10. And so we get 108 as our solution there. And again, we had to do the division first, and then after that, we had to do the multiplication. All right, so now we have an absolute value, and we've seen one similar to this. So what we're going to have to do is square that first, and then we'll have to add it to the negative 21. So let's go ahead and write this. As we would do it. So we're just going to take that times itself, and then we have negative times a negative is positive. And so now we have 13 plus a negative 21 minus 4 times 4 is 16, absolute value. Now this is really just 13 plus negative 21 plus negative 16, an absolute value. So 21 plus 16 is what we're going to do in here, and then that's going to be a negative. So 6 and 1 is 7, 2 and 1 is 3, and so we have 13 plus a negative 37 absolute value. Now with 37 absolute value, it's negative. Well, we're going to go up here, we're going to go left, and we're going to go 37, not 36. 37 blocks, and so that absolute value is just 37. So we'll have 13 plus 37. Well, we just have to take 13 plus 37. 7 and 3 is 10, carry 1. 3 plus 2 is 5. Looks like we get 50 for the answer there. All right, what about the next one? Well, the next one, again, we have stuff inside of grouping symbols. We have the parentheses, so we have to work here, and we have to work here this time. And then after that, then we're going to square, and we're going to square, and then after that, we'll do that subtraction. All right, so let's go in here. 3 minus 8, well, that's going to be 8 minus 3 is 5. Sign of the larger is negative, so that's a negative 5 squared. Minus, now we have 4 minus 7, larger is 7, so 7 minus 4 is 3. The larger is negative, so negative 3, and we're going to square that. So when we do that, we expand it out. And so negative 3 is squared, so it's 2 of those. Negative 5 is squared, so there's 2 of those. Now we have a negative times a negative is positive, and negative times a negative is positive. So 25 is 5 times 5, minus 3 times 3 is 9. So what's that mean? Well, we have 25 minus 9. So guess what? We get a borrow. That's 1. That's 15. So if we take 6 plus 9, that's going to give us 15 and 1. And so that looks like our answer is just 16. Okay, and so then we'll circle that or square it. All right, what about the next one? All right, so here we have a product. Here we have basically minus a minus here. And so when we do a minus, what do we know? Well, that becomes plus. Denominator, it's simplified as much as we can do with that. So now we take a negative 4 times 6. Well, that's going to give us a negative 24. And then we have plus 8 all over and negative 4. So now we have to take 24 minus 8 because we're going to take the larger minus the smaller. And then we're going to take the sign of the larger. Well, the sign of the larger is going to be negative. So, whatever our subtraction here is what we're going to get. So that's going to be a 1 because we have to borrow. That's going to be a 6 and a 1. So that's 16. Well, now what? Well, we know negative divided by negative, those cancel and become positive. 16 divided by 4, well, that's just 4. Okay. So that was pretty simple. You know, the hardest thing probably was, I don't know, maybe either the multiplication or the subtraction. It wasn't, this was a pretty easy problem actually. All right, now we have 7 minus a minus 9. Well, minus a minus, that means plus. And so 7 plus 9, well, that's going to be 14, 15, 16. Now minus 1 plus a negative 1, same sign, so we add them together. 1 plus 1 is 2, sign is negative, so that's a negative 2. Well, 16 divided by 2, well, that's 8. Positive divided by negative is negative, and we get that negative 8. All right, so that's all I have for this section.